Hey you guys! It's the daily, part number 2 of Daily 594, where we are exploring the concept of adjustment in Terran versus Terran. This game is going to be a short one, but let's work under the premise that people are going to be centering their play around hellbats, including us. I think it's very easy to hear what the norm is and think, how do I do not the norm? I mean, there are ways, but honestly, hellbat drops are just so good. You should just be hellbat dropping, learning to hellbat drop. So, we're ForGG. We want to try to make sure that we get our hellbat drop off oh so good. So let's go ahead and walk through this game, where we're going to see what happens when suddenly our plan gets turned a little wonky. In this game, LucifroN is going to be going for a one-base cheese all-in type thing. He's going to be going for this tank marine, tanky, marini kind of with medevac and Viking. He's just going to go for the all-in. All for that all-in. So let's see what ForGG does. Obviously, ForGG doesn't know what's going to be coming at him. Could be anything. So what ForGG is going to do is just open up with another very standard style of play, which is to get a gas up at 15. Quite a late gas. Quite a late gas. And this is so that he can get a command center, plus some other assorted pastry. Most commonly, it's command center and factory. In this case, it's going to be reactor, then factory. So he's going to be getting some extra bonus Marines. Yeah. Bonus Marines are amazing. So kind of a funky move right there that we just saw. We can't really read into the fact that there'd be any proxy because that's about how long it takes to get from cross map to cross map. But at the very least, we do know as ForGG, he's not going Reaper because we saw 2 Marines at the front of our base. Okay. So we have our 6 Mariners up. Here is our swap. And here is an increasingly common thing that a lot of players are doing. Why would we be doing this? Why would we open with these hellbats? This is what I will refer to as a meta adjustment, where because so many people are going for the hellbat, all our builds have to deal with the fact that that's almost certainly going to happen. We can't just say something like, I'm going to do this all in and hope it works. I can actually specifically prepare against what he's almost certain to do. Hellions are an extremely good answer to hellbats because amazingly, I can open up this tech tree tab that I might be the only person that uses and show that Hellions do 14 damage versus light. They do bonus damage versus light. And notice that range 5, you see that range 5? Oh yeah, hellbats. Look at this. Range 2. Range 2, yeah. And of course, we see that this is a move speed of 2.25. This has a move speed of 4.25. Hellions, way faster and outrange the Hellbats. Great answer to that. Alright, now, let's go ahead and do some of our good happy time reads. Let's go ahead and get a good sense of what's coming up. Well, given history, I know that 7 minutes is about when those Hellbats can begin churning out with that drop. So what we're actually seeing ForGG do is this style that's become really, really common, which is to begin going for Hellions and Vikings to deal with the initial drop. And depending on what we see, we can do some sort of big, broad shift around. So you might be wondering, why on earth did the starport take the tech lab? Well, the answer is that there's circumstances where we might be like, uh-oh, a Raven, and we'd want to build a Raven. But I don't even think it's that big of a deal. The important thing is that ForGG is literally just going to build nothing but these Hellions for the time being. Thanks to these 6 Marines, if for some reason ForGG is wrong and is not up against some sort of Hellbat drop, which by the way would only really be able to start now, if he wasn't up against it, if he was up against some sort of Marine Marauder push, that's what these Marines are. They're there to hedge against that a little bit. Here's the Raven coming up. Why? To hedge against a player who's doing something like going for Banshees to surprise us. So suddenly LucifroN, or ForGG just sees this, And then this becomes a very straightforward, easy, pretty simple decision. We're just going to build the meatiest units that we can out of all this. Hellions and Vikings. Just writing out to meat. And this is one of the nice, one of the niceties about going for this. Is that we actually have a pretty easy time. I mean, this was not at all a difficult thing to defend. Oh, and look at this. Oh, I'm so dumb. I forgot the tech lab. Yeah, the meatiest thing that we can build out of this is the Banshee against this sort of force. But it's still significant to note that this entire build order from ForGG, this whole Hellion thing, came up because it's an answer to the hellbat-based play. That very short game showcases something that's really, really important. You might do a meta adjustment, like say to yourself, I'm going to build Hellions and Vikings to deal with this kind of drop. But even if you do that, you still have to have answers to the other types of things that can happen. This is why we say adjust, but don't change. Adjust, but don't change your build entirely. If you'll note, ForGG's setup still has the potential to go into hellbats and this sort of thing, but really must still be flexible enough in those other spots. We're now going to watch our first semi-long game. Yay! Alright, test number 2. Are we crackling? I hate it when this happens. For some reason, when you close a replay, by the way, do not say yes or no. Please say test 2 crackles or test 2 no crackles. Because you can't say yes or no, because there's somewhere between a 5 and 90-second delay. Don't say still crackling, because I don't know what that means. Alright, test 3. This is so interesting. This is the most interesting part of the daily. Test 3. Test 3 crackle, no crackle. Test 3 crackle, no crackle. Oh my god, that's such a long... Alright, test 4. Test number 4. Test number 4. Test number 4. Crackle, crackle, test. If you're watching on YouTube, just skip it. Check, check, check. Alright, test 5. Testing number 5. I just muted it and unmuted it like 50 times. Test 5, test 5, test 5, test 5. Ah! Test number 6. Test number 6. Test number 6. Is there a crackle or is there no crackle? Test number 7. Test number 7. I'm not sure why it does this. Every now and again when I close a replay, it completely botches my mic. Test 7. Test 7. 7 good. 7 good! Oh. Oh, thank goodness. Phew. Phew. Let's go into the game. Okay, so this style from ForGG, we saw how it functions versus more traditional all-ins, but now we need to see what adjustments, not big changes, shifts, or any of that stuff, what big adjustments will ForGG perform when he is up against a hellbat dropper. And in particular, what adjustment will LucifroN make in response to seeing what ForGG is doing. So, kind of an early gas, like 14. There's the early expand from LucifroN. He'll likely be going for the double gas quite swiftly, as we should be able to see coming up now. There's one. Oh, he went Command Center first. Nice. He went Command Center, gas, barracks. Good, 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 good. Okay. ForGG. Wow. Doing something broadly considered not so. Whoa. He's going for a one-base play. Is it gonna be a Banshee? Ah! There's so much swapping going on. Ah! It's a cloaked Banshee. Gasp, ghastliness. Wait a minute, this is... Wait, this is the wrong game. I was looking at this, wait, no, this is... I'm sorry, my notes were wrong. I just opened up the wrong game. Oh my god. Oh god, we have to close a replay. Oh my god, normally this wouldn't be a big deal. Normally this wouldn't be a big deal. Oh, thank god. I knew that... I don't know if you heard doubt in my voice at the start of that game. I was like, wait, this isn't what I think it... Alright, this is the game. Alright, okay, there we go. Phew! Alright, in this game, we're going to see ForGG do something very similar. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank God. What a relief. Oh, it was such a disaster prior. I was crackled distracted. Alright, there's the early expand from LucifroN. He's getting his early gas. He's going to get his barracks up. Okay, there's the reactor. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, there we go. So allow me to posit to you once again, what do we when up against a player who is going for those hellbat drops? Those pesky, annoying things that ruin everyone's day. So there's the swapperoo. I will go to the ForGG camp. Doing this usual swap, doing the usual scout, doing the usual expand. Viking coming up first. These first two Hellions, joined by others as they continue to pounce forward. Viking is chilling at the back door. So there's some checking that's going on over here. But ForGG has to be super careful. Why is he pulling back now? Because that's about the time that hellbat drops would wind up coming in. And as we can see... where is the hellbat drop? Ah, I found it. LucifroN is doing less of an aggressive hellbat drop. This has also become kind of a norm that players do, where they build these Hellions first before they do the drop. But we still concluded that 7 to 7:30 is about as early as a drop could come, so it makes sense for ForGG to pull back. So there's the scan. Still absolutely no idea. Sees the expand. Okay, very useful. We also have this Raven up once again.
Additional supply depots required.
So this is a point where we haven't really gotten a good read on what our opponent is doing. We are fairly certain he's going hellbat for a very simple reason. The barracks is right there. Yeah! Barracks right there. So we're pretty sure he's going mech, not 100% positive, but close enough. Instantly throws down these two factories. Notice the lack of armory, notice the lack of anything else. Just going straight for the additional factories. Soon enough, maybe considering getting gas. ForGG also preparing for these drop-type plays by building these depots at varying angles. So now he knows that he's up against hellbats. So look at this very simple adjustment that we're going to see out of ForGG. He just goes mass Viking Hellion. Another sort of interesting adjustment. We already saw that this number of Hellions holds off a lot of the early cheeses quite well, and we also have the flexibility to build a Banshee.
Our SCVs are under attack.
But thus far, we've been virtually impenetrable.
Our SCVs are under
Hellbat drops being annoying, wind up doing some damage, It's not gigantic, but it is still about as much as Hellbats do. But now I can see the awesomeness of this strategy where we have a whopping 20 Hellions versus 8 Hellbats that can't actually get in range. And LucifroN is almost hopeless in this situation to keep this front alive. It does not take long to knock that down. And LucifroN has himself a grand old time doing the counter drops that do a lot of damage. And thus far, everything seems to be going pretty well for ForGG, who's a few seconds away from winning despite this sort of craziness. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Here's your pop quiz mid-daily. Given everything that went on, we can see kind of clearly how ForGG shifted this to deal with an all-in, and then shifted, or in the last game, we see how ForGG adjusted this opening to deal with the all-in by going for Banshees and playing a little more conservatively. We see in this game how he went just balls to the wall, factory out, different little adjustment. But what I want to do is I want to actually come to the LucifroN's side of things. And we're going to go through it, and I want you to ask yourself, how could LucifroN, doing everything that he did, adjust his play to hold off this attack, to stay, or actually not even to hold off this attack, to win this game? So I'll walk through this. So first and foremost, we see some prior tweaks to play. I will note that adjustments don't always have to be responses to what you see in game. They can be tweaks to what you saw in the last game, or tweaks based upon your experience. So for instance, let's say you're struggling when you're doing hellbat drops, but so is your opponent. These first Hellions, just building a few extra Hellions before we get our hellbats out, is a way to deal with hellbat drops in our base. He can't drop us without us having a nice microable unit. I notice that these guys are in control group 1. They're ready for the defense. Even the medevac is control group 3. It's different from these controlled guys. So we're looking very carefully. We see some extra Marines popping out. Looks like LucifroN wants to make sure. I think as an adjustment we might be able and willing to cut those, especially if we have these factories up. Third command center up, I mean, I think that seems reasonable. Extra refineries up, I mean, I think that sounds reasonable. But we're seeing, okay, here's 2 factories that go down, these 2 factories that go down.
Upgrade complete.
Feel free to begin typing in chat what you think the big adjustment should be, or a series of small adjustments, because I mean, these drops seem to go reasonably well enough, especially given that we got out with this medevac. Siege tanks being produced, the usual expected play. And I'm going to slow down in this battle. Very clear that we lost that front pretty quickly. Tanks come out a little bit late. But we're having a lot of success with these.
Our SCVs are under attack. Our SCVs
People are saying things like, you know, trying to get Widow Mines up, Marauders, Banshees, all these sorts of things that we're seeing. These fall into the range more of changes rather than adjustments. I mean, in a sense, a change is just a really big adjustment. Think minorly, think tiny little tweensy things. Yeah, like Khashoggi, earlier tank production. I love that. I love that. Yeah, and especially Backstab28 in chat notes that, oops, I pulled back way too far. I'm gonna go to around 9 minutes. Has he seen these yet? No, so LucifroN has not seen the factories. So it's easy, for instance, to get to a spot like this where LucifroN has seen these factories, so now LucifroN knows that it's coming. But we can't say something like, if we see these factories, get our factories earlier. Because hell, our factories are actually done. Something that I'm noticing is right around this 8-minute mark. So I want to take a look at this economy. We already have some good defense. We already have 1 medevac drop going out, a 2nd medevac drop ready to go out. This command center, we might say to ourselves, we need 2 factories before this command center. I think that's kind of extreme. I would be willing to do something even smaller. I'd be willing to say, don't build these hellbats, just build 2 factories and then go back to hellbat production. I think the biggest thing is that these 2 factories that went down just at 9 were a little bit too late. Just a teensy-tiny bit too late. So that's one potential adjustment. Another second one. I mean, these hellbats just did a great job with everything. We might even try to have some spotter at the front. Like, oh, there's another really nice adjustment. We could probably take these Hellions and move them here. So that way we can even see when stuff is moving out. But another thing we can do is when we see this attack coming, we can just wall this off. Or hell, we can just have already built a depot here, and then have like depot as a secondary backup wall off. Because I think that if LucifroN just doesn't let stuff up into his main base, like at this moment, if there was a lift and these two siege tanks came up, it's going to be a hard battle for ForGG to win. So I think that this is really simple types of things, slightly earlier factories and a wall off. Because these are still very strong, these drops, clearly a winning play, these counter drops. Wouldn't want to abandon that, wouldn't want to bring those home. When we come back, we're going to watch that final game that I meant to show last, where we're going to see ForGG open up with Banshee, LucifroN does a hellbat play, and LucifroN is yet again up against this crazy, hyper-aggressive, mass Hellion style. So we'll get a chance to see what adjustment LucifroN made between the now and then to fix it. On to a break in the middle of this jet lag cast. On a break.